Perry Como was 82 years old when he walked onto the stage of the Westbury Music Fair on October 15, 1994. 4,000 people rose to their feet before he sang a single note. Grandparents who'd grown up with his voice, children who remembered Saturday nights around the television, faces drawn by stories of the man who'd defined an era. Perry moved slowly now, elegant in his tuxedo. That voice, softer with age but still impossibly smooth, still capable of making the world feel safe. "Good evening, folks," he said, and the applause swelled. "Thank you for being here." But what they didn't know was that Perry Como had made a decision 3 days earlier. A decision that terrified him. A decision he'd been avoiding for 43 years. Tonight, Perry Como was finally going to tell the truth. And halfway through his performance, everything would fall apart. Her name was Catherine Walsh. Everyone called her Kate. Perry met her in 1950 at a children's hospital fundraiser in Philadelphia. She was 26, a music teacher with dark hair and a laugh Perry said sounded like wind chimes. This wasn't a scandal. Perry was already married to Roselle, happily, for 20 years. Kate wasn't a mistress. She was something more complicated and more painful. She was dying. Terminal leukemia. 6 months, maybe less. They became friends. Coffee once a week. Conversations about music, about life, about faith. Kate taught at a Catholic school. She faced death with a grace that both inspired and broke Perry's heart. "I'm not afraid," she told him once. "I just wish I could have heard more music. I wish I could have composed more songs." Kate was a composer. Dozens of pieces for children's choirs, simple melodies, beautiful, never published, never recognized, just a teacher with a gift the world would never discover. In January 1951, Kate's condition worsened. Perry visited her in the hospital. She was barely conscious, but when he arrived, she smiled. "Perry," she whispered, "I wrote something for you." Sheet music, handwritten, shaky notes. The title, "Where Does Forever Go?" "I won't be here to hear it," Kate said, "but promise me you'll sing it. Not on television, not for a crowd, just once, for yourself. So you'll remember that even when people leave, the love doesn't disappear. It just goes somewhere else," Perry promised. Kate died 3 days later. Perry Como never sang that song. Not once in 43 years. The sheet music sat in a locked drawer in Perry's study. He'd open it sometimes late at night. Look at Kate's handwriting, at the melody she'd composed in her final days. Feel the weight of a broken promise? He had reasons. The song was too personal, too painful. How do you explain to your wife of 70 years that you had a profound connection with another woman? How do you explain that love doesn't always mean what people think? Roselle knew about Kate. She'd understood. "She was your friend," Roselle said simply. "You're allowed to grieve." But Perry couldn't sing it. Every time he tried, his voice would catch, so he locked it away. Until 1994. Roselle had died in 1993. Perry was alone. The silence was deafening. And in that silence he started thinking about Kate, about broken promises, about running out of time. He was 82. This concert would be his last. No announcement, no farewell tour, just one final performance, then retirement. 3 days before the concert, Perry opened the drawer, read the lyrics again. "Where does forever go when someone leaves? Does it hide in memories we can't retrieve? Or does it live in songs we're still afraid to sing? Where does forever go when it loses its wings?" Perry sat at his piano. His hands shook. For the first time in 43 years, he sang Kate's song. His voice broke. Tears blurred his vision, but he kept going, start to finish, alone with his ghosts. When he finished, Perry made his decision. He would sing it at the concert. One time. For Kate. For Roselle. For everyone he'd loved and lost. He would finally keep his promise. October 15, 1994. The Westbury Music Fair. Perry's set was flawless for the first hour. Catch a falling star. Magic moments. It's impossible. The crowd sang along, remembered their youth. Then Perry did something unexpected. He sat down at the piano. The band looked confused. This wasn't in the set list. "Folks," Perry said quietly, "I'd like to sing something I've never sung before, something I should have sung a long time ago." Silence. There was something in Perry's voice, something vulnerable. Perry placed his hands on the keys, started playing "Where Does Forever Go?" The first verse came out smooth, strong. The audience listened, captivated. But then the chorus hit. Where does forever go when someone leaves? Does it hide in memories we can't retrieve? His voice cracked. Perry's eyes welled up. Tears started falling. Or does it live in songs we're still afraid to sing? Perry stopped. His hands froze. He couldn't continue. 43 years of grief poured out in front of 4,000 strangers. The audience sat stunned. Some thought it was part of the show. Others realized they were witnessing something deeply private. Perry sat there, shoulders shaking, unable to speak. 10 seconds passed. 20. 30. Finally, Perry looked up, his face wet with tears, his voice barely a whisper. "I'm sorry. I need to tell you something I should have said 40 years ago." The audience leaned forward. Perry took a shaky breath. "In 1951, I made a promise to a friend. Her name was Kate. She was dying, and she asked me to sing a song she'd written. I promised her I would, and then I didn't. I was afraid of what people would think, afraid of feeling too much." He wiped his eyes. "I'm 82 years old. My wife passed last year. Most of my friends are gone. I'm running out of time to keep my promises." Grandmothers were crying now. Men in their 60s had hands over their mouths. "Kate," Perry said quietly, looking up, "I'm sorry it took so long, but I'm singing it now. For you, and for everyone carrying songs they're too afraid to sing." Perry placed his hands back on the keys, took a breath, and sang. His voice wavered. His hands shook. But he sang every word of Kate's song with all the grief and love 43 years of silence had built. When he finished, the audience didn't applaud. They couldn't. Half were crying. Perry stood, looked at the crowd with red eyes and a sad smile. "Thank you for letting me be honest," he said. "That's all I ever wanted to be." He walked off stage. The crowd sat silent for a full minute before someone started clapping. Then everyone stood. The applause wasn't celebratory. It was reverent. 4,000 people saying, "We understand. We've been carrying songs too." Perry Como never performed again. That night was his last concert. Letters poured in. Hundreds. People sharing stories of broken promises, of loved ones lost, of songs they'd been too afraid to sing. One letter was from Michael Walsh, Kate's nephew. "My Aunt Kate used to tell me about a singer who made her laugh. I never knew it was you. Thank you for keeping your promise, even if it took 40 years." Perry kept that letter on his nightstand. In 1998, Perry's family found "Where Does Forever Go?" among his belongings. They had it recorded by a children's choir, the way Kate imagined. The recording was played at Perry's funeral in 2001. The song was never commercially released. Too private. Too sacred. But bootleg recordings from that final concert circulated. People called it the most emotionally powerful performance he'd ever given. Because it wasn't a performance. It was a confession. The story isn't really about a song. It's about the weight of promises. The cost of silence. What happens when we spend our lives being who people expect and forget who we are? Perry Como spent his career being America's calmest man, the reliable voice, the safe choice, the man who never made waves. But on October 15, 1994, Perry Como was finally just Perry. Vulnerable, broken, honest. And in that moment, he became more legendary than when he was trying to be perfect. Kate's song asked, "Where does forever go when someone leaves?" Perry finally found his answer. Forever doesn't go anywhere. It lives in the promises we keep, even the ones we're 43 years late keeping. Rest in peace, Perry. And rest in peace, Kate. Your song was finally sung.